This is Kimberly Quinn, host of the Mindcraft podcast, and I can't tell you how much fun I have had doing this podcast. I started when the world closed over the pandemic in an attempt to spread some positivity out there and give people some strategies to enhance their own well-being and reduce anxiety and all of that. Now, 2 years later, we're still going strong and now listened to by 52 countries across the world. And I've even helped some of my students get going with their own podcasts. It's super easy to do. And I'll tell you, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it is the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. I'll just explain for you. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It is a ball. Start today. And I have to chuckle because of my very fast mind. I relax differently, so my husband would crack up, or when he hears this, will laugh hysterically that I'm actually doing an episode on napping. And my husband loves to take a nap on the weekend. And here's why it works, and I can do this episode, is because I feel good when he takes a nap too, because he's just all recharged and rosy cheeked, and it bounces back with full flair. And he's so hardworking that I like it for him and me when he takes a nap. Again, I just relax differently. But it's funny because often people can be nap shamed, especially if they're seemingly doing it too often, which is not my husband. Once in a while on the weekends, and that's it. But people also confuse it with naps with sleeping. And I'll tell you, my inspiration today is from Sarah Bon Brednek, author of Simple Abundance, and it's a book I read mostly in my 30s, and it's made a comeback with me because it's ageless, honestly, and you can just read it forever, and it's not a cover to cover situation. It goes by days, and she's very seasonally tuned in, which I also like. So anyway, Sarah says a nap is not to be confused with sleeping. We sleep to recharge our bodies. We nap to care for our souls. When we nap, we are resting our eyes while our imaginations soar, getting ready for the next round, sorting, sifting, separating the profound from the profane, the possible from the improbable, rehearsing our acceptance speech for the Nobel Prize, our surprise on receiving the MacArthur Genius Award. This requires a prone position. If you're lucky, we might drift off, but we don't drift far, just far enough to ransom our creativity from chaos. I love that. Just far enough to ransom our creativity from chaos. I mean, right out of the gate, I like how Sarah separates a nap and distinguishes a nap from actually, an overnight sleep or a good night's sleep, which we also need, but what I can relate to in the relaxation piece is especially a day like today. Actually, this is the afternoon. I often do my podcast and video cast in the morning, but it's kind of drizzly late fall afternoon right now, and I've had the good fortune of being by myself. Well, sort of by myself. I've got Giovanni, the golden retriever, next to me in his own chair, and it's just a super contemplative nap day. So somebody who was really an embracer of naps would be loving this day that we're in right now. It just says nap, kind of. For me, I'm at my own I'm in my nap mentality on the couch with my feet up, and this gorgeous, drizzly, beautiful, cloudy, day right in front of me on the deck out the window. And I actually feel similarly to a nap. I feel just kind of a very relaxed state of consciousness. And I'm thoroughly enjoying this, actually, while also sharing this with all of you. And then she says, where to have a proper nap? Your own bedroom. on the living room couch when you visit your parents because the grandchildren have been told to leave their poor mother alone and go outside, just the way you were told when you were little and your poor mother wanted to be alone. Or in a hammock, on a chaise lounge, under an umbrella, on the beach, in a wingback chair in front of the fire. And I guess, basically, just basically anywhere, just to kind of tune it out for a little bit, tune it out. And I like how Sarah kind of, like I separated that napping from sleeping, or again, even just a relaxed, altered state of consciousness. Again, I'm not as much of a napper, but I can do the altered state of consciousness thing with mindfulness and just practicing that and just really kind of checking out. I did it this morning, actually. I do it well, all day. I practice mindfulness every single day, but today, this morning, I actually did. Went out in the woods with Giovanni, and similar to napping, only sitting on a bridge over a brook, I just completely, there was a bench there. I completely tipped my head back, closed my eyes, and was just breathing in and out while the brook beneath me was just chattering away. And I just felt such a sense of peace and detachment from the noise from the world. So I do think it's very similar. What else does she say? Okay, and then under a umbrella or a beach or in a wingback chair in front of the fire. Now that the fire thing I can relate to too. I don't know if there's much more mesmerizing than a fire in the fall or in the winter, just crackling away and just soothes the soul. And then she says, "Well, how long do we nap? 1 hour at the very least. How do we do this? We have small children at home. We nap when they nap, but they don't nap, you say? Well, they do now." Oh, I love that. I truthfully, again, same thing with the kind of altered state of consciousness. Though I am not a huge napper, my kids all napped when they were little, and that is definitely the time. Well, at least if when the first one, you can do that. To sit down, put your feet up, and just I used to just stare. It's just, and I would say in an altered state of consciousness, just stare. Out the window. Definitely the fire thing, the crackly fire. Maybe read a book, that sort of thing. This one is cracking me up because Sarah then says, "Well, how do you nap at the office?" And she says, "Well, unfortunately, you don't unless you shut the door and put your head on the desk for a quickie." I'm cracking up because I rapped on the door of a colleague of mine, colleague and friend, about a month ago, and I knocked, and he answered the door, and he had such a nap face. He had such a nap face, and I could tell he was trying to reorient himself to the world. He kind of rosy cheeked, had a little crease on his cheek from where he fell asleep on his desk, must have been wedged on top of a book. His eyes were kind of all like red, and I could tell he was just trying to like tune back in. It was hysterical, absolutely hysterical. So, of course, yeah, napping at work may not work super well depending on your office, but if you've got a couch in there and a door that locks, hey, go for it. When she says that, as far as the napping it works, is she said this is basically for dire nap urgencies, because she said usually this is reserved when your eyes are sizzling out of their sockets. I'm thinking like new mother exhausted kind of thing, or new father exhausted, so which makes the tradition of the Sunday nap all the more essential. There's a lot of truth there. Self-care in general, but if you can take a snooze on a Sunday afternoon, you're definitely going to start your work week better off. There's no question. If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, napping is not optional, she says. And I would just say that's probably for the majority of people. I would really agree. And for those of us who are neurodivergent, the Fast Mind Club, I even after I had each of my 5 children, I just didn't sleep in the day, even if they slept. But like I said, I did other, something relax you in a different way. But I agree with her that whether you do the napping thing, which is good for most people, right? Most people, I'm just not in that category. That what is also essential, and I 100% agree, is the altered state of consciousness to relax doing something else. So I also feel this way when I run. I feel this way when I ski in the woods. And as far as a day like this, very drizzly and contemplative, and it's just foggy and a little chilly, and just like a stay in, nap day if you could nap. I also, what I do in addition to practicing mindfulness, just kind of zenning out in that way, is when I feel like my brain needs a rest, I need to check out. I often also do some sort of monotonous uh, task that I can just be kind of glazed over with. I don't mean autopilot in the sense of the stealer of life minutes. I mean an altered state of consciousness. So doing the dishes with the warm water, or um, just because I'm just crazy about my kitchen. So I actually did this today as well. Just kind of organizing the kitchen and getting it all beautiful. And it doesn't take any, it doesn't take a lot of brain activity. And I actually feel rested after that. Some people get this kind of altered state of consciousness too when they are doing monotonous things like gardening or things like that. And this is why these particular tasks, maybe even scrubbing a bathroom, it depends on what what you do. But it's very common at ashrams and different places where they have retreats, where if you go for a week or a weekend or 2 weeks or whatever, that monotonous kind of activities are assigned to people because it's part of the meditative experience. So even if you're not a napper, you can definitely get halfway to there, or maybe not halfway. It makes it sound like it's less than, and I don't mean that. You can get there in a different way by giving your brain some rest via some mild movement, or again, or monotonous tasks. And then Sarah winds up with, she says, how do you begin the tradition? Sunday at 3 o'clock, after the potatoes are peeled and the roast is in the oven, you disappear up the stairs or down the hall. Reassure them you will be back. I'm just laughing at this because, and this is, of course, for anybody, not just particularly moms. I'm just thinking of when the kids were little. That would have been a funny thing. Like my husband probably would have joked, like, "Mom is coming back," kind of thing. When you're just dog tired, from even though it's the parenting is absolutely the most wonderful, challenging job in the absolute world, you certainly have moments when you get a little fried. If you've had your kids up all night, with the flu and throwing up, and then that rolls into the day, and you've got another one off to school, and we had 5, so I didn't have many of those moments, to be truthful, just because I'm high energy. But man, when you hit the wall, you hit the wall, no question. So she says, tell anyone who might be interested in your whereabouts that you need to sort something out alone. If you must look like you're about to do something productive, carry the newspapers. Wait, what did she say? If you must look like you're about to do something productive, carry the newspapers with you as if you're going to read. I love that. It's like a trick. What they don't know what they don't know can only help you. Now crawl into the covers. Good, you've done it. No day is so bad it can't be fixed with a nap, Carrie Snow insists. No day is so good that it can't be made better with a terrific timeout. And I guess that's what I'm saying. Don't let anybody nap shame you. Just don't, because you're taking care of yourself. And taking a break is never a waste of time. I'm going to say that again because that's huge. Taking a break is never a waste of time. Whether you're napping under big fluffy comforters, carrying in the newspapers to make the whole house think like you're actually doing something productive, which you actually are, because you're taking care of yourself. Or if it's just a grown-up timeout, I do grown-up timeouts, and that really works for me. To dip away with and actually I will tell all of you, I have a plan hopefully within the year, but at the most within 2, I'm going to have a tree house built for myself. It's Mom's tree house. It's going to be my own fort where I can actually go up there and be creative, and where I can have loads of adult timeouts. And probably there will be jokes about where's Mom. She's been missing for, days, but that's just going to be my timeout tree fort. So yeah. Okay, so napping. This was about take a nap today. Take a nap, and don't let anybody nap shame you, or just take an adult timeout where you give your brain a rest. Okay, this is Kimberly Quinn signing off from this blissfully overcast day in northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.